What's poppin', everybody? This is Ray Rawlins from the Ray Rawlins Network. Soon to be undergoing changes, man. This is the place where we talk cartoons and we damn near do it daily. I'm joined by my good buddy, Mr. Alex Payne, as we review today a classic episode of SpongeBob. And I almost forgot. We're fresh out of the 31 days of Halloween cartoons marathon. Listen, for the one person who stayed through all 31 days and watched us, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it, honest. That's on God. That's from Ray Rawlins. But let's get on, man. We're going through some changes pretty damn soon. But we're getting back to the normal schedule. SpongeBob every Monday and Friday as usual. Today, classic SpongeBob. It's Friday. And we're reviewing Season 2, Episode 7. Part B, I think it is. Yeah, Part B. And it's called Life of Crime. Now, every classic SpongeBob fan who's been there since day one or close to day one, at least 10 freaking years like I have, you know what this episode is. But if you don't, Mr. Alex Payne, give us the breakdown of this episode. What happens?
They stole a balloon.
Yup, that's right. They stole a balloon, but obviously go more in depth with that shit. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
We're getting a surge of subscribers. The least you can do is put more effort into your descriptions.
All right. Okay. So basically, after a description of stealing versus borrowing from Mr. Krabs, he kicks SpongeBob and Patrick out of the Krusty Krab for accusing them of stealing a bunch of shit, and they go out on the town looking for something to do, and Patrick realizes that he wants a balloon. So they decide to borrow the balloon, and when the balloon pops, they go into panic mode because they think they committed a serious crime. So they go on the run. They go, on the lam. And after Patrick has the notion that SpongeBob stole his chocolate bar, they basically race to turn each other in, and that's the episode.
I mean, you're not wrong, but man.
I mean, listen, that's
vague.
That's the best way I could describe that episode without giving away everything about it.
I guess. Okay. Well, you did decent. I gotta applaud you on that. But
I think I did beautifully.
Yeah, you did it. You did I. First impressions, though. I gotta say, man, I remember being like maybe 9 or 10 years old, probably even younger than that, watching this episode. And I just remember just sitting in front of my TV, just watching that shit. I'm like, oh man, SpongeBob and Patrick, they finna go to jail, woo, 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 woo. And the day I'm watching it, it's like, yo, these dudes think they're gonna go to jail for stealing a balloon? Like, SpongeBob, obviously he ain't shit. He ain't no big gangster, as you say. But Patrick, I don't know. Patrick's cool. I think he'd be a good big gangster and shit. But stealing a balloon, they're afraid of getting caught for stealing a balloon, man. I gotta say though, this episode does teach kids like, yo, you shouldn't steal regardless of how silly the item is you're stealing. Like, balloon, yeah, we laugh and say, oh yeah, man, they stealing a balloon, oh, they ain't gangster, woo, 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 like that. Not that they're supposed to be, but it's just like a balloon, something small, something a kid might steal.
I mean, did they really teach them a lesson though? Like, because when you really think about it, nothing actually happened. They just laughed at them for stealing a balloon on Free National Balloon Day. So they didn't really say don't steal. They just laughed at them for being dumb enough to steal on the wrong day.
But you can argue that the whole ending of when they went in the police station, and this is one of my favorite moments right here that had me fucking laughing my ass off. Even when I seen it as a kid, they're like, "Oh, we stole a balloon." They're like, "Okay, you can't do the time, then don't do the crime." Just put them in a little jail cell, shut the door for like 3 seconds. And you're like, "Okay, time's up. Now get out." Yo, that shit had me rolling. I don't care what nobody say. That was funny. Okay, basically, although it is National Free Balloon Day, you can't argue the fact that the kid sees that, yo, I'm going to go to jail. Even if it's just a stupid balloon, I can go to jail for that. Because you got to think about the stuff kids steal. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the store. I stole some candy bars with my fat ass. I always stealing some damn candy bars from the store.
You fat hoe.
My niece stole a coloring book a couple of days ago. So
Listen,
it's just
listen. The world will discover the meaning of life before we discover your true wasteland.
listen, listen. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about SpongeBob, motherfucker. But
Listen, I thought it. I would immediately, and that one was too good for me to let scroll by.
listen, they say you can't trust a man in 36 jeans. Okay, so I can't be 36 jeans. No, I'm just. No, I'm 34. I'm just lying. I ain't fat, y'all. Just I'm dyslexic. Just switch the numbers. 43. But no. But real talk
It's
though,
50.
the the episode, I think, in my opinion, does teach them like the harshness or the punishment that can come from stealing. Obviously, you got to look and think like, oh man, SpongeBob and Patrick stole a balloon. They're worried about going to jail. I don't want to, I don't want to think like that. That's the way I'm thinking. What do you think? What
Well,
are your first impressions? Should I ask?
well, I guess that would fall more under the review. So I'll say my first impression was the comparison between this episode and future episodes, like
Oh, I
because
know what you're gonna say. I think. Go
I mean,
ahead.
the Patrick thing is
Obviously,
obvious.
that yeah.
That's the one that's been, yeah. But I mean, it's still worth mentioning. But that one goes without saying. But the main thing, the other thing is, if this was a future episode, SpongeBob would have been holding onto the Krusty Krab door, screaming while Mr. Krabs tries to push him away. So
As much as I wanna agree, because listen, I'm not gonna front. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I'm a pundit of SpongeBob. I've been a fan for over a decade, but I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say, oh yeah, I've been keeping up with the new SpongeBob episodes. I can't say I disagree or agree with you on that one. I'm kind of in the middle because
but
I
I
want
mean,
to say,
even some of the episodes you've seen, because even from friggin', I would say even from season 4, he started to get super like, I'm work his life. Don't you dare keep me out of here.
right, and that season 4 is when they had that crazy vacation episode. But all that's besides the point. Like, because I see exactly what you're saying with the comparison of the characters. Because we just watched, for people who are watching right now, to give you a little context of what we're talking about. We just both watched the new episode, the Goofy Noober, or I'm sorry, the Goofy Newbie, when Patrick goes to work at the Goofy Goober joint. So, and that's why I said I knew where you were coming from when you mentioned the whole Patrick, comparisons from now and then. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit more in the next review we do. But that's what's coming up Monday. So you guys got a little heads up. But I do agree, like there's some very big differences character wise. Like, and I can't say I seen the SpongeBob ones. Like, I'm just comparing the two episodes here. I can't say I seen the SpongeBob ones that much. Like, SpongeBob seems more normal in the life of crime, back in season 2. Whereas we go to
Hmm.
season 12, he's more childlike, I would say. Is that a good comparison? What do you
No,
think?
that's right. He's not child like he is a child, pretty much.
Right, right.
Like,
SpongeBob
yeah.
seems more like something like me. Like with the whole situation with the candy bars and whatnot. I mean, I don't know if you have to really listen to how Tom Kenny like does his voice and the words he uses, the way he talks in that episode compared to in future seasons. But that's enough about the characters for right now. Let's go on to final, or not final reviews, but the episode moments, because I think we're gonna be all day with this one. Because I definitely had a couple. Stealing and borrowing with Mr. Krabs, I think is the best place to start. Obviously, like I like how Mr. Krabs doing the whole hypocrite thing, like, oh man, people who steal should be locked away for years, locked away for forever, blah blah blah. And they're like, Mr. Krabs, what about all the stuff you sold? Uh, the lawnmower, the hedge clippers. Didn't he steal something from Plankton? He
The
stole a lot of
lawnmower.
shit, basically. Yeah, he lawnmower, hedge clippers, Mr. Puff's hair curlers.
The
Um,
Clippers.
I
He
wanted
stole
to
the
say there's
Clippers.
something else. So
The
he's
the
the
towel
wheelbarrow, the towels too. So yeah, Mr. Krabs, Mr. Krabs ain't playing. He taking all that shit. So
and the phone.
obviously, The phone too. Obviously, he kicks SpongeBob and Patrick out. He explains that he borrowed all that stuff and he kicks them out. He's like, "Ooh, that was a close one." And I'm like, "Mr. Krabs, you motherfucker. I get you cheap, but you don't need to steal from people." And then you try to go after the people talking about, "Oh, people should be locked away for stealing for years." Da da da. Woo woo. Like, come on, Mr. Krabs, don't be a hypocrite like that, man. But I do have to
Come
say
on, G.
this: when you, I remember being a kid, and I know this is getting into me here. I remember using that same explanation from somebody like, "Oh, I didn't steal. I just borrowed without permission." I said that to somebody. I can't remember for the life of what I was talking about or who I was talking to when I said that. But I was like, you know what? Mr. Krabs taught me that motherfucking logic. I remember that. I remember that for sure.
Exactly,
Um,
because the episode didn't give you any punishment for stealing, and plus they pretty much, because realistically, when you think about it, they never said at any point Mr. Krabs' logic was wrong.
I guess
So
you're right, but to be fair, no one was around to hear what he said to SpongeBob and Patrick. And of course, he's not going to tell you, "Ooh, that's wrong."
no, I'm talking about, but like there was no punishment
But
at the end.
and you know
You see
what?
what I'm saying? Like, because the police could have been like, I know it's free balloon day, but you thought it wasn't, so you should not steal anything. Like there was no nothing. They was just like, hey,
Right.
you idiot, go into jail for 3 seconds. They're pretty much
Listen,
saying like, and they even gave him a lollipop at that. It's like basically they're saying if you steal something, you get a lollipop
listen.
from the
All I
police.
know, the one thing I can say to kind of argue that is that when they popped the balloon, even though they wrong for stealing in the first place, they popped the balloon. They thought they were going to be in trouble because they can't return it. So
No, but
it's
they
just
were gonna be in trouble, man. And they telling the kids, hey, if you think you're gonna be in trouble, you're gonna be fine. You're not gonna get in
okay,
trouble.
okay, okay. Um,
I mean, listen,
let's go on.
when you really think about it, the morality of the stealing is kind of, yeah. But
Yeah,
that
you're
doesn't
right.
matter though. That
Listen,
doesn't matter.
how the hell can there be water under fire?
I don't know how there could be water under fire. I really don't. I really don't know how there
What?
could be water under fire.
How can you grill burgers underwater? Like, it's just like cartoon logic. It's hilarious, but once you actually see it in the cartoon,
You
and
know,
then,
I don't want
huh?
to veer off, but this made me think of it. If there was a civilization underwater, right? I wonder how far they would have advanced, like with technology wise. Obviously, they probably would have had different things, but I just wonder, like, would they have figured out methods of heating themselves? Would they have figured out methods of, obviously
You
different
know,
forms of electronics and shit, but not
as
obviously
great
not the same ones like us. But
as great as that conversation is, and that's probably a good future podcast idea for another time. But to go on back to the whole ideas part or moments part of the episode, we talk about the water under the fire. Obviously, we got to talk about the candy bars. We had to talk about the candy
the
bars. That's a
water under the
must.
fire.
You know. See, this is what happens when you distract me. Anyway,
I didn't distract you at all. You said that from the
this
beginning.
this it should be the other way around. But Patrick, obviously, hungry SpongeBob gives him candy bars. He's like, "Okay, I think I'll eat it now," and just basically smashes that candy bar. No remorse, just down the gullet, all over his face. And then he's in like second pass, like, "I think I'll eat it now," and just
He didn't even
boom, just
he didn't
bites his
even take
hand.
the wrap off.
You know what? He didn't for real.
No, he just ate it.
Listen,
I,
Patrick Star is a monster.
I
Okay.
don't I don't know if that was like an animation mistake, like they just forgot to put in when he would have took the plastic off or what. Because there wasn't no paper crunching sound or nothing like that. Because you'd think if they wanted to emphasize that, they would have added something to imply such a thing. But nah, he just ate it without without taking the
I
wrap
mean,
off.
listen. There's a lot of situations where Patrick just vacuums everything up, plates, bowls, all that stuff. So it definitely wasn't an animation mistake. Um,
Probably not.
obviously,
Probably not.
obviously when they're arguing and Patrick stops the ground and the fire starts back up mysteriously, Lord knows how, but it burns his foot. That's kind of funny.
Friction.
You think? Well, I'm not a scientist. I'm not even gonna argue that. But when they,
I wasn't being serious. Though. I mean, come on.
I right, but knowing you're the smart guy out of this group, so that's a compliment towards you. I'm just boosting your ego for a second.
I'm
Anyway,
actually stupid.
yes, you are. But when obviously they get to the police, I mentioned the whole jail thing. That was another one. And then finally, and you mentioned this to me a couple months ago where we were just talking, when the police give him the lollipops and Patrick obviously eats his, got the blue lollipop all over his lips and whatnot. He's like, all right, which one of you flatfoots took my lollipop? Fun fact, you thought flatfoot was some type of racial slur, not racial slur, but it was some type of slur which was supposed to be offensive, which actually it isn't. It's actually a different term for the police because, they walk a different way. Their feet are usually flat and they had like little flat style walk to them. So another word for police is flatfoot. So it's not an insult or anything because I thought the same thing too when I was little. So that's a little fun fact.
I think that's another name for white people though. Because
You think so?
I've heard that before, where people will be like flatfoot for white people or some shit like that.
Hey, when I looked it up, I didn't see it. But surely when I looked up that definition, I saw that. I knew that's what the Nickelodeon writers meant.
Oh yeah, that's definitely it, man.
Right. Well, I'm just saying what I know. Okay. What about you? What are some of your moments?
You pretty much mentioned all of them. You pretty much mentioned all of them for me, and to slip into the review portion, I'll say this episode suffered from multiple viewings for me. Like, I feel like this is one of those episodes where it's like I've watched it enough to where now it's kind of just meh. It's not bad. There's still a few funny moments that made me laugh, but it's like I wouldn't feel bad if I never saw it again.
Okay. And that's fair enough. Like, because I could even argue the same thing. I could say the same thing too. I can't tell you how many times I watched this episode over the. Actually, it's been longer. I keep saying 12 years. It's been like 13 or 14 years since I've been watching SpongeBob. So I've definitely seen this episode a lot over the course of that time. However, I haven't seen I haven't. Yeah, buns and ties. But I haven't seen that episode. And a lot of other old episodes, or any episode in general of SpongeBob in a good minute, to be honest with you, besides doing this for the channel. Because I don't have Nickelodeon. We're cord cutters. We don't use any cable.
You're a KKK?
No. Come on, you're supposed to be the serious one here. Anyway, I gotta say,
I never agreed to this.
With the review portion, I gotta say that me personally, I always thought this was a decent episode. I never thought this was like a bad episode, even if I viewed it a lot. I never thought this was a bad episode, and especially rewatching it today, I think it's pretty decent. Do I think it holds up to any of the cartoons that we've been reviewing during the Halloween period of this channel during the last month? I don't know. It's hard to say. Like me, when it comes to numbers, I'm not good with the whole rating systems and whatnot. But if I'm gonna have to put a rating on this episode, I'm gonna go with a nice solid 7. Nice solid 7. I would say 7.5.
I thought you was gonna bust out to 7.5, man.
But if I was, this episode would deserve it, honestly. I'll give it a 7.5. Screw it. Since you had to bring it up, I'm gonna do it 7.5. Because granted, this episode isn't terrible. Like honestly, you can kind of. I mean, it's not. You know what? I'll give it a 7. I'm gonna give it a 7. Simply because I get the whole story aspect of it. Like, you explained the episode earlier and whatnot. The story itself is okay. It has a good beginning, middle, and, it's pretty logical to see where they got from, point to point to point. But it's just like you said, the thing that's sticking out to me, and since you brought it up, and this is why I like having you here, because you're like the second head on my shoulders, is that they did not say like, yo, you shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. Even if it wasn't National Free Balloon Day, you shouldn't have took that balloon. Simply because they didn't properly teach the fundamental lesson of this episode that should have been there, which is, yo, you shouldn't be stealing, period. Regardless of what you think it is, if it's borrowing and whatnot. If it's borrowing, you ask permission to take it.
If anything, simply they kind of promoting it because they like just borrow shit without, Because think about it. What
Right.
was the issue in the episode? They borrowed something and couldn't give it back. So the episode theoretically implies that as long as you don't break it and you give it back, you can still take shit without asking no one.
Exactly. Exactly. But besides that, like characterization, they felt like the actual characters. Patrick felt like Patrick, how he was supposed to feel, obviously, because that's season
Did
two.
he feel soft?
He felt fishy. Um, SpongeBob was SpongeBob, obviously being his nice, kind, caring self. And the comedy of this episode, like I said, there are a lot of good moments that I like personally. So I'll give this a nice 7. Just that one little fact that you had mentioned is sticking out to me. That with this being a kids episode, that should be something that definitely should be stressed. Is that one lesson like, yo, you should not be stealing. So that one thing sticks out to me. I'll give it a nice solid 7. Overall, it's been pretty good. What about you?
I think it's an alright episode. Nothing too great, nothing too terrible. It depends on how you want to look at it. If you want to look at it for an episode in general of SpongeBob, if you like include all of it, then I don't know, because like a lot of the newer shit kind of brings the like question of quality into it. But if you just refer to it as like normal classic SpongeBob or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll have to give this episode a 6. It's okay.
Ooh,
Had some good moments. A 6 isn't bad. A 6
it's
is
not. It's
is
not.
is
It's
is
not. No,
a 6 is decent. You know, because
I think it should be
you're
more.
talking about your ratings. Like I've always seen the 10, the whole 10 number system as 5 is middle of the road. You don't feel any strong any way about it. 6 is decent. 7 is good. 8 is really good. 9 is great, and 10 is perfect.
Okay.
And, obviously, like the points, we give variance on. Okay, 7.5 is really good, but is good, but not really good type of way. But anyway,
Right.
so
Right. Okay.
so I give it a 6, meaning it's nice and decent.
Okay. All
It's
right.
above average, but not great.
Well, there y'all got it. Alex Payne gives it a 6, and Ray Rawlins, which is me, obviously, gives it a
Your name
7.
is Ray?
No, it's Patrick.
Oh, okay. I thought so.
But y'all know who it is. It's Ray Rollins and Alex Payne from the Ray Rollins Network, where we talk cartoons and we damn near do it daily. This has been our review of SpongeBob SquarePants Season 2, Episode 7, Number B, The Life of Crime. We will see you when we see you, as Alex sounds like a puppy dog in the background.
He said number B.
Peace. Oh, did I? Man, peace, y'all. This motherfucker on some other shit.